Mr. Criminal on air live. I wanted to talk about the state of podcasting in these YouTube formats that we put out energy to the world. And I think that comes with the responsibility. And unfortunately, they started saying some crazy stuff. The dude was saying straight up that he had footage of something that's gonna come out February 10th. And he said that's gonna change everything that we think about Nipsey Hussle's death. And one thing that he made a statement on there, whether you could believe it or not, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. It's hard to believe whatever comes off of YouTube these days, especially with the podcast where people go on there just to troll. People go on there just to get attention. People go on there just to air things out, try to make people look bad, type of stuff. Yeah. And I don't know these gentlemen's situation or their relationship, so I'm not saying either side of the coin. I'm just speaking on podcasting in general. But one thing he said was that Big U had called him 30 minutes before Nipsey died and said, "You heard what happened to Nipsey, right? He just got killed." And this gentleman was in direct contact with Nipsey. So he pulled up his phone and was tripping out in a haste and called Nipsey, and Nipsey answered his phone.
Oh, wow.
So what they were pulling out of him on the podcast was that Big U knew that he was gonna get killed
ahead of time,
and that he had dropped the information too early on this dude. So the dude is coming out and saying that. But what makes me question it is this: if he knows this and it's been 5 years, why did it take 5 years to come out with this information? So there's flip sides to everything, big dog. And one thing he was saying on there was that they had extorted Rick Ross and Meek Mills in an LA club, and that they took $50,000 because they were gonna do something dirty to Meek Mills. And he said that Big U took the whole stack. It was supposed to be split. So when people start dealing with money, people will start dealing with people supposed to pay them and they don't pay, and people start getting bitter. You never know, homie. So it makes you see, a fool will just believe anything that's told to him. But a wise man thinks deep about everything that comes his way. And my brain tells me that you can't believe anything that you hear and half of what you see. And these days on podcasting and with YouTube, unfortunately, you can't even believe half of what you see. You might be able to believe a tenth of it.
Yeah.
A tenth of it these days. Because now, the truth of the matter is this. A man lost his life that was influential in LA. He was connected to something bigger, a secret program that is that car over there, and we don't want to disrespect that set. Because I got homies from that neighborhood. Shout out Jay Stone, shout out Pac-Man, shout out all the homies that I know, Battle Cat. I know a lot of homies that come from the Rolling 60s car. And one thing I won't talk about is their neighborhood politics or what they deal with, right? But the fact that these cats are getting on podcasts and speaking about it themselves. I saw Brick Baby on another podcast, another dude that's allegedly from that neighborhood. And he was talking about it, and then a girl that's from there was like, "Yeah, you know what I think is it shouldn't be talked about it even by anybody." So she was kind of letting it be known that they shouldn't even been talking about it right there. So
yeah,
the fact that it's just so loose, we're in a world that's so loose. It's getting too loose out here, big dog, and too many people want to put another man down in another man's story.
And they're quick to it.
Homie. So it just makes you scratch your head. It makes you think like, wow, we got to be really careful what's going on out here. You know, people will do anything to get their name out there. Not saying that that's what's happening on this, but people will do anything, dog, just to keep their name popping, relevant. People will do anything to air out another man and make another man look bad for their good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at one point, they were all riding together. So it makes you question everything. If he was so quick to ride for the man and put these other rappers in danger, and now he's quick to disrespect this man. And then what's crazy is when I looked this dude's name up, he's sitting there right there with Whack 100. And when I looked the dude's name up, he had like 5 videos dissing Whack 100. So it's crazy, dog. It makes me just really think, like, what is really going on, dog? We're in 2024, and it's getting really loose out here, homie. It's getting out of control. But one thing and one fact of the matter is that we can't bring Nipsey Hussle back. But what we can do is keep his legacy in a positive light, bro. And at the end of the day, I just hope that this isn't something to get some records sold. I hope this isn't something to clickbait people. But regardless, it's all incriminated information. And a lot of people, that's the worst part. And a lot of people are probably going to be looked at, investigated, doubled back on, all because of the internet and podcasting. We're in a world where position of life right now, big dog.
Weird.
I never thought I'd see that.
Or just people just open.
And I will not allow that on my podcast. No matter how much views it brings, no matter how much attention it brings, I will never let a man sit here and incriminate himself, dog. I'll change the subject. I'll change it up. I'll shut it off.
I'll cut the podcast. It's
I'll
all
cut
good.
the podcast off no matter what we got to do, because we cannot do things that are going to eventually hurt a man. We're here to uplift people. And we're here to spread positivity. And at times, like I said before, I've been guilty to fall down that rabbit hole. We're all human, right?
Yeah.
And when you see these views coming through and you see people putting another man under the bus, you're like, oh, this is gonna go. This is gonna go. And I'm guilty of going home and clipping shit like, oh, he just dissed this dude. This rapper just dissed this rapper. But I had to sit back and reflect. I've lost friendships over it. I've lost good relationships over it. I've offended people that I wish I didn't offend. And nobody's perfect, homie. So at the end of the day, we have an opportunity in life to change it up, to make a difference. Shout out to Hector Navarro, the homie. That's the homie right there, man. Shout out to him. Family member for reals. Hey, homie, come over here and pick up your Crime Family merch package, big dog. I got you. No charge, homie. You know how we do it. Shout out to him for the $10 super chat.
That's dope.
And he did something very special for me and my family and hooked up my son with something I'll never forget, dog. So anytime that homie wants to pull up and show love, pull up, homeboy. I got you. Hector Crime Family Navarro. That's what we're going to call him from now.
That's right.
That's my boy, man. Shout out to him. But yeah, I just think that we're in a weird place, bro. And I think that it's very important for us to look past what we see. And I think Ivan Sandoval has it right. He said, I was
just reading that.
Hate is at an all-time high and fake is the new real. Sad. Clout chasing at its finest. You know what? I agree with that. Clout chasing has become something that is just disgusting, homie. In the podcasting world, in the world period, you just, like I said, you just never know what's going to come out of things that you put into the world, into the earth. And I feel very, very strongly that by us standing on positivity, we're not taking no shortcuts. We're taking the stairs on the way up. And we're going to have sore legs all the way at the top. But when we hit the top, we could look back and say, you know what, we helped people out. We did good for our community. We enlightened our people.